When we think about Kate Middleton, we picture a woman living a fairy tale life. But most people don't know the huge amount of pain and struggle her parents went through to help her reach this place. Get ready for a very sad story about how the road to royalty was built. Spoiler, it's not beautiful at all. Before Kate ever entered a palace, before cameras followed her, before titles and perfect smiles, two normal people quietly created a life that later got torn apart by public eyes. Carole and Michael Middleton had no royal blood, no power, no protection. They had only hard work, daily routines, and humble beginnings that required effort every single day. That starting point explains everything that came after, including the deep heartbreak. Carole Goldsmith grew up in a working-class family in London. Her father was a builder. Her mother took part-time jobs to keep things going. No family money, no safety net, no special connections. What they had was ambition and the belief that you build security yourself, step by step. That mindset shaped Carole when she was young and guided every big choice she made later as an adult. Michael Middleton's family looked steadier on the surface, but it wasn't the fancy privilege some stories later claimed. They had distant ties to industry and old names, but he grew up with jobs, rules, and normal limits. He worked hard, studied, and lived carefully. Luxury wasn't part of his childhood. Stability was the goal. They met while working for British Airways. Both had jobs that needed discipline, long shifts, and reliability. Their relationship began in a world of schedules and responsibility, not big romance or glamour. When they married in 1980, they weren't chasing status. They were building a practical life based on work and slow, steady progress. Their early marriage was careful with money. They lived within their budget and saved wisely. Carole stopped working after their first child, Catherine, was born. While planning children's parties, she noticed a real problem. Supplies were hard to get, ordering was messy, and parents had no easy all-in-one options. This wasn't a dreamy idea. It was a practical fix. That detail matters because Party Pieces was born from solving a real issue, not from wanting luxury. In 1987, Carole started Party Pieces from their home. It was a small mail-order business that grew slowly, with no big investors or news coverage. Michael later left his steady British Airways job to join full-time and help the company expand. That was a huge risk. Leaving security meant everything depended on making it work. For years, it did work. The company grew steadily through the 1990s and early 2000s. It added more products, improved shipping, and moved to bigger spaces. The children helped casually, packing boxes during busy seasons. The business paid for their education, private schools, then university fees. This is where public stories get mixed up. The Middletons didn't buy their way into better circles with inherited wealth. They earned it through business profits. Every school fee, every tuition payment, every step forward came for what they made selling party supplies. Critics later ignored that hard truth and simply called it privilege. By the time Kate met Prince William at St. Andrews University, Party Pieces was profitable and stable. The Middletons were comfortable with money, but not untouchable. Their wealth was mostly tied to one business, not spread across safe investments. That made them vulnerable later on. When Kate's romance with William became huge news, the Middletons were pulled into a world they never wanted. Press interest exploded. Their business was closely examined. Their past was dug up. Their social position was debated openly in public. For the first time, their private choices were no longer private. Carole especially became a target. People called her ambitious, controlling, strategic, or calculating. None of these labels had solid proof. They were just opinions placed on a woman who built a company and wanted security for her children. But the story stuck and never fully went away. Michael stayed quieter, less visible. Still, the pressure hit him too. He loved privacy and routine, but now lived next to a royal system that runs on exposure and symbols. The family was expected to act perfect with no guidebook for what perfect meant. Even so, they tried hard to stay normal as long as possible. No media deals, no selling stories, no trading secrets. That careful approach was later forgotten when circumstances changed. This part isn't sad only because of loss. It's sad because everything was so fragile. Their success needed constant work, privacy, and balance. None of those survive well under constant bright lights. The same strong work ethic that built their life left almost no room for public mistakes. By Kate's 2011 wedding into the royal family, her parents were no longer just business owners. They were symbols. Expectations followed them everywhere. Every win was questioned. Every mistake was made huge. The safety of being unknown was gone forever. What had been a simple tale of effort and moving up now sat frozen under endless watch, waiting for stress to reveal every weak spot. And stress was definitely coming. By then, the Middletons already carried heavy weight they never asked for. Party Pieces wasn't just a family business anymore. It was tied to a future queen. That connection changed how every success and every failure was judged. Normal business risks now carried massive reputational damage. For years, Party Pieces relied on a predictable pattern. Seasonal demand, children's parties, school events, weddings, birthdays. People gathered, orders came early, stock moved steadily. Warehouses ran on rhythm. That rhythm looked solid, but was easy to break. As online shopping grew, competition increased. Big sites sold cheaper. People chose convenience over special items. Party Pieces adapted slowly. New products, updated systems. But the core model depended on real events continuing without interruption. Then the pandemic arrived. In just weeks, events stopped completely. Parties canceled, schools closed, gatherings vanished. Demand collapsed overnight. This wasn't gradual, it was sudden. Orders dried up. Stock sat unsold. Fixed costs stayed. Rent, staff, suppliers. For a celebration business, there was suddenly nothing to celebrate and no quick way back. Carole stepped back from daily operations, reportedly for family and health reasons. Leadership shifted inside, but the timing was terrible. The company needed major changes in an unprepared crisis. Instead, it entered survival mode. Losses grew quietly at first. They borrowed more. Payments were delayed. Hope rested on a post-pandemic bounce that never fully arrived. When restrictions lifted, shopping habits had changed forever. Smaller parties, tighter budgets, rising prices. Party Pieces tried to recover. New inventory, seeking investors. It wasn't enough. The size that once helped now hurt. Overheads became crushing. In 2023, the company entered administration. The numbers were brutal. Debts over £2.5 million. Creditors included big institutions and small suppliers. One widely reported case was a family-run business by Afghan refugees left unpaid. That detail spread fast and hardened public opinion. The Middletons were accused of using royal ties while letting others suffer losses. No evidence showed they had assets or acted dishonestly. Still, perception overtook facts. The story shifted from misfortune to moral failure. Carole and Michael faced the humiliation of seeing decades of work reduced to headlines about debt and collapse. Their business identity vanished. Their personal honesty was questioned publicly. For Carole, the emotional pain was deep. Party Pieces was her creation, grown alongside her children. Watching it fail publicly while unable to defend herself created helplessness that people close to her noticed. Michael, who valued structure, felt the chaos of administration and media deeply. Every attempt to stay private was ruined by the royal link. The sale marked the final end. Party Pieces sold for a fraction of its old value. What remained was loss, suppliers hurt, employees unstable, family control gone. Future plans were quietly dropped, not from lack of ideas, but because visibility now cost too much. Any new project would face the same harsh judgment. The Middletons withdrew. The timing made it worse. Kate faced her own intense royal pressures. Her parents' troubles added emotional weight she couldn't acknowledge publicly. Support stayed private. Distance was required. They appeared less, spoke little. Silence became their only defense. Critics saw it as avoidance, not dignity. The real tragedy isn't just the financial collapse, it's the exposure. A business that failed under extraordinary conditions became a morality tale for people eager to blame. The Middletons turned into cautionary figures instead of real people. This wasn't greed or excess. It was timing, dependency, and vulnerability. Their wealth was tied to one source. When it failed, everything followed. By the end, they weren't just parents of a future queen. They were a family marked by loss, retreat, and the hard lesson that success without protection offers no shield when the world shifts.